Hello everybody, this is Glory. Welcome to Alpha Boom. I hope all of you are keeping well, and my apologies for the long gap between the last video and this one. But it was a much needed rejuvenation and healing of the self, which we are all allowed to, right? So I hope you all are keeping well and kept awaiting for the next video. So today's topic in the series of Kali, uh, we will be discussing about are our desires excess in any which manner anybody looks at it. So it's per se a judgment of yourself, of your own desires, and how do you look at it? Especially in the path of Shakti. So desires are seen very differently in the path of Kali, in the path of which is in Tantra, which is the path of Shakti. And for a Shakta, what desires look like, what they stand for, right? So in the path of Shakti, desires is seen as precision, absolute precision of wanting something, where nothing is wasted, nothing is diluted, and every drop of desires of your blood, of your bloodline, is held firmly in the khapar of Kali. In the iconography where Kali holds a khapar, the blood drops and she holds your blood, symbolic of desire, very firmly as a prized possession to her, something which is very precious to her. So it is desire per se in Tantra is never seen in moralistic or in a shameful manner. But precision of desire is what we speak more in Tantra, not a noisy desire, where you are not aware of what you exactly want, to refuse everything else in your life. So all she wants in her path is clarity, not morality. And demonization of desires is a propaganda written by those who fear focused desires, a desire with absolute precision. So desires in her path, like I mentioned, isn't gluttony. In her path, nothing is indulgence, but she teaches ruthless editing for one thing that you absolutely desire, and dedicate your life for. Most of us think that we want everything, but in the path of Shakti, she asks you, what do you want enough to refuse everything else? So desires without boundary here is considered as an addiction, but desire with architecture of thought can build empires, right? She never amplifies cravings. She refines them into weapons, sharp, unapologetic, no sweetness to soften the edges of your desires, right? That's very important and critical in our path. That what you want, you shouldn't be ashamed of. I want it, right? So when you are around such a frequency that is clear, absolutely clear, weak desires naturally falls away. Weak desires naturally falls away on their own. Because what she did was she clarified your hunger, at its base. So now you're not hungry for many things. You're hungry for one thing, and you're absolutely ready and willing to put in everything that one hunger of yours requires. Now, what remains post this? What remains is what you are actually willing to pay for, and payment always comes due. Shakti path is known for this, and now you do too. Now, after a substantial, now this experience, this experience will never randomly come into anybody viewing this video. All of a sudden, tomorrow you are absolutely convinced about what I'm saying. These thoughts naturally, these awareness naturally seeps into your system, your thought process, your pranic field after a substantial amount of years dedicated into understanding or chanting her mantras, being in her devotion, right? Or understanding her basically will take you to a clarification on precision of desires rather than just being a glutton filled with desires. So your desire fields will be, after a substantial years of getting into her sadhana, getting into the path of Shakti, what you will notice is your desires. You'll notice very starkly 3 or 4 things which I have observed in my life, and so I thought of sharing it with all of you. First thing that happens is your desire field will be purged of consensus programming. What does that mean? It means what you were told to want, not what you actually want, will be purged off your system. Now you will only want what you want, not what you are expected of. Second thing that will happen, you will be cleared of shame overlay, that goes around in society, in our society. The guilt that dilutes your ask. Let's say you want something which is like a forbidden fruit, but you want it, right? You want it. Now, many of us have a tendency of wanting it, but speaking it like with soft edges and blushing it on with pink rosed spectacles and wrapping it as if we want it, but in a very feeble way. Some portion of it we want it, not all of it. However, we truly want everything of it. So that guilt that dilutes your ask after a substantial amount of years put into the sadhana of Shakti, any form of Shakti, Kali, gets stripped away from your ask. So now you ask exactly anything you want without guilt. That's more important. The third thing that happens is your desires get sharpened into laser focus so that your ask stops scattering. Now you don't need a complete grocery list, right? You need one thing out of it, and your ask clarifies around that one thing that you need, right? So this also happens. The fourth thing that happens, now your desires is anchored to a material picture of it. You don't just desire, but you also envision how once that desire is manifested, how would your life look like. Now you will have a picture of it so that your desires don't evaporate. Don't evaporate by the morning you wake up. right? Am I making sense? So all of these four things starkly will play around once you are into few years of sadhana. These things will definitely happen. So, my only request is let it all come to you. Do not apologize for becoming the altar of precision. Let your aura ripple with magnetic fire and let the world bend towards you. And give the world this desire of yours, this light of precision, not in shame, but in sovereignty. And may you never, never, never see desires as an excess in your life, because it truly isn't. These are beautiful uh, emotions in a human life. If used properly, empires are built, right? So let's talk of desires in the most, you know, precise and precision way, and not in a moralistic way from now on. Thank you.